And a very welcome to podcast, Aisha Makara. How are you today, Aisha?
Doing well. Very sunny outside, super happy. My intention of the day today was happiness. So it's
Happiness. Wonderful. So let's get this started. So where are you right now on planet Earth?
I'm located in Lisbon, Portugal.
And what is make us quite jealous? So give us a kind of a holiday travel advisor review of what it's like where you are and what the temperature is like. So you sell it, sell it.
So okay, we have today we have 18 degrees outside. It's quite warm and very sunny and beautiful weather. It's going to be beautiful sunset because we don't have any clouds outside. So I'm very happy, and I will be with you at sunset time.
Oh dear. Oh, that's not good.
And I have amazing view, so I can see that from my window. Actually, the sunset time as well. Portugal is an amazing country. Food is so good. I really enjoy the food here. Enjoy the weather. I enjoy people. I enjoy the quality of life. It's still cheaper, a little bit cheaper than in other part of the Europe,
Right.
and of course in United States, where I just lived and I moved here just recently, like a few months ago. And I feel I really enjoy living in Europe.
So what do you enjoy about Lisbon in particular? Why did you pick? Now we're going to cause trouble now. You're going to get cancelled because you've picked Lisbon ahead of all the other cities on the planet and especially Europe. So dig yourself out of that one.
Okay. Well, you know why? One of my reasons why was because of the weather. Lisbon has 300 days of sun in a year, and it's quite warm all year round, like about 20 degrees most of the days. And of course, we have cold days. Today, it's going to be like about 12 degrees in the evening. And it's already February. Can you believe it? And on the night, we have like about 11, 12 degrees Celsius. So, like, I really enjoy the weather. I really enjoy the quality of life here. Everything is nearby. I really like, for example, if I want to go to the beach, it's just like nearby. Beach for me, just like 5 minutes walking, 10 minutes walking. And I really enjoy the food here as well. Like the food is so good and so, I don't know, like it's just great. The traditions here is still there. The family traditions is still here. It's like I feel like the real connection, the community, it's still here. The feeling of belonging, it's still here. The feeling of be grounded, it's still here. So why I was attracted to Lisbon or Portugal in general, because of I think most of the because of the quality of life. And I feel relaxed here. I feel chill. I feel like happy most of the time because I'm very sunny person. I like sunny days, and it's relatively inexpensive to live here compared to, for example, New York or Miami or where I was used to live, compared to Paris or London. And the quality of life is good. It's not so busy. People are like rushing things. They're not like going somewhere all the time, or like asking you, what's your next goal? What's your next goal? What are you going to do next?
Mhm.
They're more like enjoying. They're really enjoying life. That's what I like about Portugal.
You've sold it. We're all moving there tomorrow. Okay, well done. The Portuguese president and all the politicians will be delighted with you. So you've really
And one more thing, they all speak English, the old people and the young people.
Ah,
That's one a very good, as well, benefit for
cool.
people who doesn't speak Portuguese. They don't need to, you can still live very well here and enjoy the community.
So if anybody is moving to Portugal now, you have a five-star review from Aisha. She loves it. So
Yes,
are you
5 star.
five-star? So Aisha, are you picking up any of the language? I know you mentioned the English, but are you picking up any of the Portuguese language while you're there, or are you just like, ah,
Of
forget about it? I'm not.
No, no, no. Of course, I speak Portuguese, I speak Norwegian, I speak Swedish, and I speak Russian. And like, I feel like languages is actually help you to understand better about culture and traditions, and like kind of like diving deeper towards something beautiful. Like each language has own beauty and why, their own why. It's like a code for me. Language is like a code. It's beautiful.
What type of code? Explain. Go further.
Like, when I started to learn Norwegian many years ago, when I was a very young girl, I started to understand each culture has their own idea of the history and the way they approach the history, the idea of what it is to be a human, what it is to be a good human, based on the religion and the idea they describe the religion. For example, it's very different from, for example, to be religion in Norway and to be religion here in Portugal and or Italy, because the idea around it is very different, like what is good, what is not good, and what like each language describing in a completely different way. So for me, like by learning the history, by learning about what it is to be a proud and human being, like by by the language that they have and where the language come from. For example, when I was learning about Norwegian culture and history, I learned that Norwegian was united with Sweden and Denmark, and for many, 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 many years, or hundreds of the years. So it's like it was like first Norway was under the Denmark, and after they changed under the Sweden, and again, it was like changing and changing. So Norwegian people can understand Swedish and Danish cannot understand Swedish. So like it's very interesting the way the language built. And why? Because they get to communicate, right? They get to kind of like explain themselves and sell to Swedish, or adapt themselves to Swedish and adapt themselves to Danish. So the language is like developed in a way that they can understand both, and in very kind of like would say gentle way. And the language is very like, even so it maybe seems very harsh, it's actually very beautiful, and many beautiful words, many like very soft language, I would say, like very soft way to polite language to speak, and beautiful. Like when you know the language, it's
Yes.
actually very beautiful and polite.
So when did this kind of love for learning languages and different cultures, when did this all start? Or why did it start?
Because of my travels, I think I love to travel. When I was living in Russia, I always dream about to travel around the world, and of course, I didn't know that I get to learn many languages on the way to travel. Right? I was thinking, oh my gosh, in my mind, it was like when I was being very young, I was thinking it takes me all life to travel to New York, for example, that I get to make money, and like all, it's not easy to get a visa and all of that. It's kind of like all these limits that we have. And what happened is I started to travel around Russia, and after Central Asia, and I moved to Moscow, and eventually I moved to Norway as an exchange student, because the opportunities, I believe it's all about opportunities that we take because of our dreams, because of the way we want to explore ourselves. And eventually, I learned that it's no limits. We are limitless. We can do absolutely anything, and we get to dream big, and dream as much as we want, and like as long as we want, because anything is possible. Like I used to say to my friends, I'm a good example towards that, because I grew up in orphan house, and somewhere nowhere, very far away from civilization, I would say, from everything, with a village of 700 people. And what happened is like, just because of my dream of traveling, I, you know, I just went to travel around the world, and the language was not limiting me. Of course, I was scared because I didn't speak any other language except Russian that time. And it didn't stop me to learn, to be curious. And I believe the curiosity, it's one of the beautiful things for us to continue to develop because of curiosity, learning about other cultures, about other languages, about other people, about places. We expand ourselves to the like, you even don't know which level you can do that. I'm like thinking right now by sending my art to the space, and I'm feeling like I had a dream and I didn't know when it's going to happen. I didn't know how it's going to happen. I just knew that it's going to happen in one day. So, like, I believe absolutely anything is possible. We just get to believe and trust the process of life and believe in ourselves and just actually enjoy the process of it each day.
So how, I mean, we're going to talk about more of this stuff in detail, especially your life. So you mentioned there, being an orphan, being in Russia, been in many, many countries. But I was going to talk about this later on, but I'll ask now, how did your art go into space? How?
Um,
How did it
so,
happen?
I was 2020. I was doing my art classes at the beginning of 2020 for the adults and kids, and I decided to be a teacher, like an art teacher. And so I started to kind of like work with kids, and kids give me more like ideas. They was asking all the time questions, and I'll ask you more questions. And I believe like by brainstorming, I started to think a little bit, what is my dream as an artist? What I want to achieve as an artist? So I sent the art to Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Richard Branson. I
Oh,
asked Elon Musk to send my art to the space. I asked Richard Branson to paint his rocket, space rocket. And I asked Jeff Bezos to send me to the space to do art. And I created artwork for them and I sent it to the offices with the letter about me, the story of me, or I don't remember what I wrote, but I wrote something. And Elon Musk did it because, I mean, he created the project, and the project was about sending 50 artworks to the space with the SpaceX. And I've been selected as one of the among of the oldest artists. The two of my artworks was selected and engraved in the golden plates, and it's flying somewhere in space. Of course, it's a process. How did it happen? And many challenges towards that, and opportunities like you get to just take. And I'm just asking myself sometimes about the dreams. Like my friend, I had just breakfast today with my friend, and I got this amazing opportunity last year in New York, and one of the association, like very old association of Wall Street, they asked me to do the exhibition there, the solo exhibition, in a huge space. And I was so exhausted and tired that I couldn't take that opportunity in that moment of my life. And I was like, and my friend was asking, why you didn't take that opportunity? And I said, I was so exhausted, and it was not connected to my dream probably in that moment. That
right.
what I was thinking or I want to create, because otherwise my body would go for it. My body was so tired and exhausted that I couldn't even create for like a while for like, my art. And I understand like each artist going through some crisis in their life of their, like of creative crisis. And it's okay. I accept that. I was not pushing myself, because when you started to push yourself more and more, you know what's happening? You're dead. I feel like you're going to die if you continue to do that to yourself, because your body just said to you, stop it. You started to be sick more and more. You started to like just being in the bed all the time because you're sick. And sometimes the sickness can be very, very strong. I don't
Yeah.
know, it's a very like, because body telling you like, no way, we're not doing it. So you get to trust your body, and not so many people even understand we're living in our body. we our body is our, I call like instrument to create the reality we want to create, and we need to give our body to rest, because now I'm feeling like, our project called Godspeed, the project that when my art was sent to the space, it was called Godspeed. And I'm like, right now I'm moving on a God speed. So it's like completely different because the art was created out of me, out of my, of my body, of my hands. And I feel like many times people don't realize we are the creators. We are the powerful creators. We can create absolutely any reality we want. The things is we get to be patient, especially when we're creating something incredible, different that we don't know, and it's there. And sometimes universe is working with us. Not sometimes. Universe is working with us to create it. The thing is, we get to be patient because if nobody before created it, so it takes time to create it, to collaborate it with everything around. So we get to be patient and our body will elevate naturally toward that experience. We get to the trust to the body and trust to the flow of life. That's how I see it.
No, I mean it's a very positive way of looking at it. But let's go back to Elon and your little messages to Elon, Jeff Bezos, and Mr. Branson. So you kind of the way you explained it was, I just wrote to Elon, I wrote to Richard, I wrote to Jeff, and if anybody's listening, if you're listening, Aisha wants to go to space, so she wants to hop on one of the Blue Origin space
Into the
rockets.
art.
And away you go. And you could probably paint. Could you imagine how cool that would be? You can actually paint. So Jeff, here's an idea, or Elon, blast Aisha up to space and let her paint while she's up there. I mean, that would be pretty cool. Okay, irrelevant of
Very
my
cool.
waffle. How did you eventually get to Elon in terms, or his team, for them to, in case anybody's here wondering how on earth you did that, to be able to get your piece of work, Godspeed, up into space?
Um, well, they came to me. My friend, I was hippie that time.
Right.
I was living in the hippie community. Living in a van, selling my art from my van, going from the festival to festival. And one day I was working in a crypto community, and one day everything was stolen from me. Absolutely everything. My life was I was just sitting there, was no phones, was no money, was nothing, was no documents. My life was over, like kind of like I get to get start over and from empty, I would say like from the empty blank and or like from the white blank, whatever you can call it. And I was like sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's completely crazy how it can happen. Anyway, so my friend, she sent me on Instagram, she said to me, oh, that's connected to your dream. Do you want to apply for this project that was, connected to the 50 years of the Pioneer 10 50 years ago in 1972, they sent one of the artworks to the space. And because of the 50 years of anniversary, they selected 50 artworks. So she sent it to me and I applied and I got the interview. And, I've been selected. They asked me to send actually to create 8 artworks because I didn't have any tools. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. So I was asking every time people to help me, the hippie community. And I was on a festival somewhere in Norway, was no connection, was nothing. And they give me like a 1 week to create it and send it to them. So that 1 week I got to the festival. It was like a lot of things that was kind of like on the way, what people say. And I'm just saying, I didn't limit myself. I just did it because it was my dream. And I've been selected. Yes, I didn't create like 8 artworks. I created 3 artworks, and they selected 2 of them. The point is, I made it. I made it. It even doesn't matter what happened with me in that moment of my life. I was creating that opportunity by, when the opportunity arrived, I just took it, that opportunity, because I knew that it's my dream. That's a part what I want to do in my lifetime. And I just said to myself, if they will not select me, it's fine. The new opportunity will arrive. At least I will do my best to do that. And I will make it happen for myself. And it did happen. And, I sent my art to the space and here I am.
And how did you feel? How did you feel when they picked your art? I mean, what was the feeling? Were you totally like in shock? Were you kind of, you mentioned that you've dreamed of this type of stuff. So, I mean, did Elon pick up the phone and go, "Hey, Aisha, hi. So you what
Now it
happened?"
was a Cosmosys. It was a company from Singapore who
Okay.
was doing this project. They were connected directly with SpaceX, with Elon Musk, and they were selecting all the artworks. And probably Elon said to them, "Oh, if Aisha Makara is applying, take her artwork." Select her artwork, please.
Okay.
If she get the information. And I was asking my friends, like my friends was asking myself, "Oh, how did it get you in? How did you send your art to the space?" I said, "Because it's my dream." "Did you apply?" And the funny things, I sent to all my artist friends to apply for the project. Nobody did.
Wow.
And I asked them, I sent to so many of them to like, "Oh, this is opportunity, like send your artwork." And they didn't do that. And I just said, like sometimes in life give you opportunity. The things is, it's up to us to take it or not. And many times life or universe gives us a lot of opportunities, and we can see them and we cannot see them. And it's up to us to see that or not see it. That's life. And sometimes you have energy to take it. Sometimes you don't have energy, and the body doesn't want to do that. In my case, when that opportunity arrived, it just happened naturally somehow. Like everything is just like, i was I was just asking. um in that moment, I just knew, I was so excited. Even I was exhausted as well in that moment. I didn't have no money. I get to kind of survive, and I get to always work a lot to like make some income to like to live my life. And they just happened like I think about the months, after the months whether these things happened
Yeah.
with me. And the funny things, I made it happen because I was like, it's my dream, it is opportunity that I want to take it. I No matter what, I was communicating about that. That's why it happened, because it's a part of the dream that I was living.
Did you see the launch? Did
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
you did?
yeah. I saw
And
the launch, yeah, and it was on January 3rd, 2023.
and how did you get emotional?
Yes, I was very happy, of course. I was very um, excited. We celebrated with my friends. And I don't know, I'm just feeling like life is amazing. Life is amazing gift itself. And we have like so much to explore right now, so much to do, and so much to create with all these tools that we have. It's like unlimited opportunities, how much we can do and create together, actually.
So what has happened since then in terms of your artwork, Godspeed, gets blasted off into space by Elon and his pals? What has happened to your life since that moment? Has things gotten better, or do you feel because possibly your popularity has increased and your time is less, that your quality of life has reduced? Only
No,
you can answer that question.
I don't feel like my popularity increase, honestly.
No, but you know what I'm trying to get at? Because of, you've had this moment in your life and people know of this moment, that sometimes when you get kind of that moment, people want a little piece of you and they don't care what type of piece it is. How have you managed that? And has it been a positive or a negative experience?
I believe it's just only positive right now, because of even so, I went through some experiences, of course. I just feel like people really believe in me, and whatever I do, they know that I can do it. And when I say I want to do this, they believe that I'm going to do that. And also, the one of the things, I created the book, I published the book that called Joyful Living Guidebook. And I also understood very deeply that all my dreams is real, that whatever I dream is there for me. And I just get to say yes. to it, and that's it. It's enough to say yes and just continue to live my life. Just smile and be happy. That's what matters. And the universe wants you to be happy, and the universe wants you to smile and just enjoy no matter what life brings to you. Just take it with gratitude and um, love. And I believe like people don't realize that we have just only one life, and that life is living here and now and actually enjoy whatever you have in this moment and appreciate it.
So what then does joyful living mean to you? So why is that term important to you? I know you keep mentioning about the moment, you know, happiness, joy, but what does that mean to you specifically? If somebody was listening to this podcast right now, what is joyful living?
Joyful living for me, when like we have, joy is a state. I feel like joy is within. We get to practice the joy. Like joy is something we we have it in our heart. We like happiness, coming and go. Like we can add joy in absolutely anything in our life. We can add joy, and we can call like joyful sadness, for example. Even so, we're going through some not easy experience in our life. We still get to enjoy it because life is given for us to experiencing it, and it's up to us to say to ourselves, it's enough. How long I want to be sad, you know the first time when I was being sad or depressed, whatever you call it, like it took me always 2 years to started to kind of get back to my happiness, or like to my positive attitude. And I realized life, it's happening for me, so it's up to me to decide how much I want to be sad, how long I want to be sad, how deep I want to be sad. And I decided to add joy. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to have the emotions of angry, and appreciate all of this, and appreciate all your emotions and everything that's coming within you, because it matters. It matters until you're here. It matters to express it to the world in a moment. And, it's not about to filter it every time. Sometimes we cannot filter, we're just coming out right away, and it's great. You get to appreciate that it's just get out of you. The thing is, what happening with us is like, oh, we're getting regret about that. We started to kind of like coming with all this like thoughts. And I'm just feeling it's okay to be emotional. Like it's okay to express our emotions to the world. It's okay to appreciate these emotions, no matter which emotion we have, because it's in us. I was just thinking, like the other day I was thinking, like, in our life we just have the movements, everything happening in our body.
Yeah.
Everything what we create, it's around us. And the reality, it's happening, everything, our experience, the whole experiences of our life, it's happening in our body. No, nobody can experiencing it for us except us. That's why when I'm saying to the people, oh, I'm sad today, and they ask me, oh, why do you sad? And I'm like, oh, this is what happened. And like, like this, it's okay to express the sadness as well. It's not be shy about that, because we're all humans. We're all going through experiences, and we get to appreciate all the experience of life, no matter what, no matter how painful it is, no matter how pleasurable it is. We get to experience all it, because this is what we feel to experience, and this is what our body feel to experience, and this is why we're here to experiencing it. And many times we don't want to experience some things, and we're scary of it. And I feel when you're scary, that's where the magic is happening. You get to face it with gratitude and smile and do it. All the struggles, all the challenges. I'm telling you, because when the things happened with me about like I end up with nothing, and this opportunity ended up with sending my art to the space, and after creating my book, I understood how powerful I am. No matter what's going on with me, no matter if they take everything from me again, I have me. That's what matters. Until I'm here, things matters. When I'm not here anymore, it doesn't matter anymore. And I always can create. And it doesn't matter how, like, if you're stealing and taking everything from me, I still can create and new things. And because it's coming within me, and so like that what life about. You don't need all the things. You're coming alone, you're going alone, you're coming naked, you're going naked. Everything is just experience in this lifetime.
And do you think, Aisha, I mean, you mentioned they're painful, but I mean, what has been the most painful experience you have had in your life? I know you mentioned that you've had nothing and you were selling your art and then it was taken from you. But has that been the most painful experience so far to date?
I think it wasn't a painful experience. It was like when my mother abandoned me, I think. And, of course, as a child, it was not easy experience. It was painful experience. And the part of the experience, and I understood that was the experience when I understood how strong I am. And, no matter what I'm going through, I always facing it with a smile and gratitude, because it's no other way. I have me, and I get to work through this myself. And of course, abandonment issues is a part of the also the experience, because when you're at school and the kids say to you, "Oh, your mother doesn't love you, nobody loves you," it's not easy for the kid to go through this, and understand that actually it's not true. I love myself, people love me, and in reality, what's happening, people are people, and some people would love you, some people will not love you, and it's okay. You get to accept that we're all different, and we all have life. And I'm feeling like we get to really respect each other the way we are, respect each other boundaries, respect each other differences, respect each other journey itself. And I feel like sometimes we forget about that. Like we forget to ask ourselves, oh, do I want to share about like something that you have this teacher within yourself. You
Yes.
get to ask yourself, like, do I really want to share it or not? So ask for permission. Like, is it okay I share with you something? Are you fine with that? It's the same. Like sometimes we're forgetting to ask for permission, people to, if they're okay to get our feedback. Many times we're just bombarding them with different ideas and thoughts, and the way they get to live their life, and through our own filter of life.
Yes.
And we're forgetting that they have own life, own filter, and their own best friend of their own life. So let them be until they're asking for support. And when other people asking you for support, they really need to mean it, because if they don't mean it, why to do that? You will see it. You will see the way they receive it. You will feel it if they really want to work with that, because it will be flowing. It's going to be like a flow. If not, it's not going to flow. You get to let it go, because you cannot help people if they don't want to get help. That's the reality of life. And the same as you. If someone wants to help you, you get to receive that help and appreciate that help. Because many times we want help and we have the idea of the help. And after, when somebody is helping us, oh, it's not like this. I don't want to have this help. My help that could be in a different, this is how I imagine. No, that's the help you need right now to get. And you get to accept that.
If anyone, this is what I find interesting. You don't have to answer this if it's uncomfortable, but if anybody's listening to this podcast and they've gone through something similar as you have in terms of the I know it's difficult for me to even say, but to be abandoned by your mother. So how, I mean, since then, have you been in contact with your mother? Do you know who your mother is?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't want to be friends with her because she doesn't want to be my friend. I try to be friends with her, and she's not interested to be my friend. I respect that, and she going through her own challenges in her life. I just let her to be and live her life the way she thinks it's right for her. I don't want to like be there and teaching her how she get to live her life. She choose what she choose. She decided to do the way she decided, and it's her decision, it's her choices. I cannot change anything what she did. I get to continue be grateful that she brought me to this beautiful world. And I'm grateful for her that she did what she could. And I'm grateful that she's still alive, and so I get to just continue to practice gratitude, and sending love to her, because even so she didn't give any love towards me for many many years of my life. I get to give that love myself. I'm just feeling like, of course, it's a lot of work that we get to go through and do. And I understood through my life, I abandoned myself many times because of that issue, because of the things that from my childhood, I was always like running away and continued to run away from that kind of like not accepting that I'm actually loved, and I get to give that love towards myself first. And like forgetting all these self-limited beliefs and these ideas that or programs that was given to us in the childhood, from the other kids. Because every time I connecting with kids, and when they're speaking to me about something, I understand it's not coming from them. They don't think, and it's coming from the parents. The
Right.
parents say to them that, and and they kind of like saying to other kids, and I'm feeling like, why parents so mean sometimes? Why are they saying these things to their kids? Why they scary them like sometimes? Why they saying like, oh, do you want me to give you to the orphan house? Or like, it's scary,
Yeah.
like for the kids, like to be in orphan house. And I used to say to the kids, um, orphan house is just as any, yes, it's probably more brutal. I don't know. I didn't experience the other part. But the thing is I'm just feeling like I survived, and I'm still living amazing life. I'm traveling around the world. I created myself. I believe in myself. I just understood what I have, where I was in that moment of my life. I just knew that something is there for me that I don't know, and I get to go and look for that, or like kind of like explore that, and discover it. This is what I did, and this is what I do. And I feel like I'm very happy where I am. I'm very happy who I am. I'm very happy the way I am. And I'm feeling like to be joyful, you get to create the idea what is joyful living for each of us. For me, for example, having sun, like seeing the beautiful sunset or sunrise, having my cup of coffee in the morning, that I like. It's just like make my life already joyful, to go to the places where I want to go, have my friends around me who supports me, who is silly with me sometimes. I'm just feeling like that's the joy of life for me. And have a beautiful dresses that I like, and going to buy something that I want to buy, and don't have the second thought, oh, if I'm going to buy it, so I get to limit myself on that, like I don't have that thought. I just go and buy it, something that I want. And I don't have any kind of ideas of like what if. I just live the life the way it is, and I create absolutely each day the way I want it. I create my freedom. I imagine that freedom that I'm living right now, and I started to work towards that. And I feel like to have the freedom, it's one thing. To understand the responsibility of the freedom, it's completely different thing. So like each of us can understand what is freedom for me, and the way I want to create a joyful freedom for myself, and take responsibility over it, make a decision, and take responsibility over this decision. Because many times what's happening, we take this decision, and after we're doubting ourselves. Why we're doing to ourselves? I don't know. And when I make a decision, I don't doubt. I'm just like, okay, I go with it, because maybe I don't have this idea of the mother and father. Because probably like from my experience, mother say one thing, father say another things. So kids getting confused.
Yeah.
They don't know. And that I'm very grateful that I didn't have that in my life. So like I get to create my own decision and stick with that. That's why probably my friends were telling me like, oh, when you decide something, we already know that you're going to do that. and they don't have any doubt about that, because I don't have that doubt myself. And maybe because of that, because I didn't have these noises from both sides, to tell me, oh, do it, no, don't do that, oh, you don't have, this worry all the time.
Yes.
That's maybe the magic of it. I don't know. I'm just feeling like universes always provide what you need to achieve what you want, and that's, you get to just accept that part and live by example. I'm a great example of my life, and I always have the idea of myself, be better, and I'm a best friend of myself. And always when people give me advices or something, I'm asking myself, do I really want to do that? I'm living with myself all my life, so I get to ask myself first, nobody else. If I want to do this or that, I want to be with this or with that. Like, it's up to me, and nobody else can decide over me.
So
That's how I look at life.
when did that strength, where did that strength come from? Because, you mentioned there about your mom, and then how long were you in the orphanage for?
I was about 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
So was there anybody, and this is the reason I'm asking this question, because you're so, looking at you in the camera, you're very positive, enthusiastic, very strong, and you've a great personality as well. And obviously you're very driven. But was there somebody in the orphanage that kind of gave you was a mentor? Or was this just you and the other kids or teenagers or whatever in the orphanage that brought this person? Or is your mum like this at all? I'm intrigued.
No, I didn't have any mentors in my life. Like, I mean, I was just have the ideas all the time myself. I was
Yeah,
thinking like, when I was a kid, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, would be very nice if someone come to the orphan and brought like a cake and tea and have conversation with us. And when I turned like a 16, 17, I started to do it myself and went to the orphan. I started to bring the cake and tea and, have a conversation with other orphan kids, because I knew this is what I wanted when I was a kid. And
right.
nobody was there, in that moment when I wanted that. And I started to run away when I was maybe like around 3 years old, because I didn't feel safe in my environment where I was, because it was always fighting, always like screaming and yelling and punishment for no reason. So I was confused. I started to run away, and I started to go on this exploration to learn myself. Like, I started to observe a lot. I was not speaking too much. I was very like quiet a kid. Even so, I was very fighting, all the time. I was very kind of like fighter or
Right.
survivor. And so I started to run away, and the adults was bringing me back. So
Right.
one day I understood, like, it doesn't matter how far I go away, they know where I am and they know who I am. So they know like where to bring me. So I started to kind of hide myself. And I went to more further, like more like, further from the village and further from the everything to the nature. I started to discover like animals, small animals, frogs. And I was a little kid. Maybe it was before the school and before like and I remember that I started to bring the kids, and with me, the other kids started to go with me on this discoveries, whatever. And I remember that one time I went with the kids, and kids started to cry and was like, I can go for like, I don't know for how long. I didn't need the water. I didn't need food. I didn't need anything to kind of like, I was very determined towards like, I'm just going for the exploration. And if nobody will find me, I know my way back. I know when it's like the sun going down. So I get to go back on. Sometimes like I couldn't get my way back. So I knew that somebody will bring me back anyway, because as the adults, like they see like the kids is there lost and they bring me back. Of course, I've been punished every time. I've been put in a corner and beating up by adults, because it's not okay, do that things. And I still was I was still doing it. And I remember when the kids was going with me, I was when they were crying, I was teaching them, if you're going to continue to cry, next time you're not going with me, just remember that. And and I was like, I didn't want to take them with me. And this is why I was not so patient. I was feeling like I don't want to take them, and I was a lot of time work by myself.
Right.
And when I was 7 years old, probably like I was about seven, six, seven, I remember we had this like a plane that was giving it was a farming, or like it was a part of the Russia where they have the Savhoz Kolkhoz. I don't know if you know, it's like was Soviet Union time, and it was everything was more like a communistic, maybe
Right.
still some parts. So that was a plane was coming and giving the nourishing to all the plants.
Yeah.
And I discovered this plane, and I started to look for that plane. And I remember I found that plane, and I talked to the pilot, and the pilot was telling me, okay, tomorrow come around 7 a.m. or something like that. I will take you to take you with me.
Yeah.
And so I came over next day. I wake up very early, and it was still very dark. And I went to the plane. He took me over, and I remember I come back, and I was so excited to share about that with everyone. So I shared with everyone. I took them to the pilot, and the pilot said, "It was our little secret. Why did you tell to everyone?" And because probably, and I understood, he took me one time after that, but he didn't take any other kids.
Right.
And because he probably didn't allow it, it was not allowed for him to do that. He did it as just like whatever, I don't know, like being kind.
Yeah.
And but the point is, I understood from that experience, sometimes I cannot share some things that, something exciting me, and it's great to have it because I'm very excited about that. And that's from that experience I learned that I cannot share all the things I'm excited about and I'm doing them,
Yeah.
because the consequences of it can be, that's probably I will not do that, or like they will not allow me anymore to do that.
Yes.
So it was many things in my life that I had the story as well when I first time tried clementines.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And in Russia we didn't have clementines, and it was like every year, I remember 3 years in a row or something like that, we're receiving clementines. And I really loved the clementines. It was my favorite things in the world. Like they were sunny, they were little, and I was stealing them. I was exchanging them for other, like sweets and stuff. I really loved them, and I had a lot of them every time. And of course, like every time when I was stealing them from other kids, it was bad, like they were punishing me, and they were telling me I'm a not good kid, and it was like I'm just a kid as any other the kids. And after 3 years, I don't remember, but there was like some time the clements didn't arrive, and I'm like, where the clementines? Why didn't I was so surprised, because in my mind it was like, oh, that was the only things was kind of like lighting me up to
Yeah.
waiting for the next like time of the clementines. And they didn't arrive the first year. I was like very confused and surprised, and the adults didn't say anything. They said like, oh, it just didn't arrive, it didn't, I don't know, whatever.
Right.
Next year they didn't arrive again, because it was a perestroika in Russia. It was like a whole things was completely changed, and it was like a moment in my childhood where we were just eating spaghetti, like this very, very bad quality for, I don't remember, for a long time. We didn't have
Right.
any other food to eat, and because of all the perestroika things, as a kid, you don't understand that. As a kid, you're just going through the experience, and you just understand that something is off, because it was like all the things every year, and here it is, it's nothing, for like a while.
Yes.
And so I remembering this because I was so surprised. I was like, oh my gosh, it was end of the world for me, It was really end of the world. I was crying. I was very like angry. I was like asking absolutely everyone. Every time I was running away, I was asking, where's the clementines? Where's the clementine? All the time. I don't know why. It was maybe like the only things what makes me happy. I don't know. As a kid, I was just went crazy, about that. And on the third year, I remember I give up. I was like, oh, it's not anymore clementines. Life is over, something like that. That was my first, after like, of course, disappointment of losing my mother, like was the second disappointment. Didn't have the clementines.
But now
But the
you're in
point,
Portugal. In Portugal, you get all
exactly,
the
now it's
clementines.
like I have a lot of them all the time. But that point was, like broke my heart, as well.
Yeah.
And the point is like every time as a kid, you experience some things, and it's kind of changing your reality because you're used to that, and suddenly it's not there anymore. And as a kid, you kind of like, wow, how does it possible?
Yeah.
You know. And when I was being in America, like working with kids, I understood right now kids is very, very spoiled. I mean, I didn't have my toys, I didn't have my clothes or my room, you know. And I never could say like, no, I'm going to stay in my room, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I couldn't say that, never,
Right.
because I didn't have my room. I couldn't be angry at someone. I couldn't, even I'm angry, they put me in a corner, go and stay in a corner and be good, you know, like understand when you're good again and come back, you know, like it was completely different reality of not having, you know, the things that it's mine or something like that, or be territorial about that. Now kids, I'm explaining them, you cannot explain them these things because they will not understand you.
No.
They grew up in a completely different environment where the parents is babysitting them for like as long as they can. And I feel like it's good and it's not good because it's helping them to be very nourishing, and you know, it's like you kind of building this bubble for them,
Yes.
and that bubble is not real, you know. And you get to go and face many challenges in real life, and they're not ready for that.
No.
And that's what's happening right now in the world, that kids, like adults, right now they're adults, they're still living with the parents. Every challenge for them, it's like not easy, they're complaining a lot, they cannot even get out of their own home sometimes, you know, or like out of their own country, and they're scary of doing something they haven't done before, or like even talk to the girl that they like or to the boy that they like. You
Yeah.
know, it takes them courage to go and do it. And I'm feeling like, because when we're putting them in this bubble of, it's a beautiful bubble of love, of course you want to give them best, and you spoil them in the level that it's not realistic. They don't meet a realistic kind of like way of being. They don't understand the reality of life. And you're doing your best to kind of like, you know, work through this and help them more and more and more, instead to challenge them, to challenge them. And when you started to challenge them, they don't like it because they're used to that level of comfort, that when you started to challenge them, they like, I don't want to do that, leave me alone. And they're closing the door and they're saying like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, or something like that. And it's
Yeah.
like, you cannot do anything, and you cannot put them in the corner because it's not allowed.
Yeah.
You cannot like punish them or yell at them because it's not allowed. So like, who right now getting older and older, they don't face the reality, because I believe like all the thing is kind of like balancing you a little bit, understanding that in life, you know, it works like this. You get to understand life in the way that it's more real, because some people can be very good to you, some people cannot be not good to you. And that's the reality of life. Some people will love you, some people will not. Some people will, you know, do absolutely everything for you and support you. Some people will the opposite, put you down as much as they can. It's not because they're bad people, it's just because people are people.
Yes.
It's the way they are, the way they operate. That's why we have a war. That's why we, you know, people shooting each other in the streets and doing all this, the things, because they don't receive like enough love, or they receive too much love and the world was not like nice to them, so they get angry, so they couldn't balance themselves in the to the reality. So they, some of them get too angry, and some of them cannot be how's it, too closing themselves, you know, and they get
Yes.
depressed and all of that. So it's to find that balance. They get to go in their own journey of exploration, and they cannot do that because they're too close-minded. They're too afraid of going experiencing their own potential. That's what how I see that. Because in my life, I had this experience because I've been kind of like pushed towards that, and like through the my life experience, and I get to kind of like see what's my potential is. And I understood that it's limitless. And it's not just my potential, it's limitless. Absolutely anyone in this planet Earth, potential is limitless. We're all powerful creators. The only things, what do you want to create and why?
So talk about creating there, Aisha. So generally, if we talk about art, right? So if there's an up and coming young artist and they're listening to this today and they're wanting to progress, kind of educate themselves more in being an artist, what would you suggest or what type of tips or advice that they will be the next ones on the Elon Musk SpaceX aircraft shooting their art into space? So what would you suggest?
I would tell them like live your own dream. Create the dream that you want to live in this lifetime, and create as many dreams as possible, because they all are real. Just make a decision to live it. That's it.
Oh, you're very,
Decision and choices.
this isn't. Do you know something, Aisha? One thing looking at you here today, and we're chatting on the cameras or chatting on the podcast, is that no matter I've read your background and your bio, and I'm sure there's more to this story than what's out there, right? And I totally get that. And if anybody's listening to this, please, I mean, visit Aisha's website, which is Aisha.today, as far as I'm aware. And there'll be more information there, and you can contact Aisha. I mean, she has information about herself, her projects, her art. You can contact her as a speaker. You can invest as well. So, and she has her book. So, I mean, it's 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 odd for me as because you mentioned it a couple of times where the people have everything and are still unhappy, and yet you didn't have much starting out, and you're so positive and I just think it's a wonderful thing to see, and it's an inspiration to anybody who's finding it difficult at this time through anything that they're experiencing. Um, for you, Ayesha, I mean, what can you provide? So, say, for example, as a business or a company at this present moment in time, and are wanting to engage with you as a speaker or to invest in you, how do they do that? So, how do they get in touch with you? So what promote yourself now because you're talking about everything else in the positive light. So let's get to the business side of things. Let's get to the money. So what can somebody do for you, a business or a company that wants to get you in and speak to them?
So everything is on my website. Aisha that today is AISHA that today, where you can book me as a speaker. I can come to your conference, to your charity event. Um, I also publish my book. You can buy my book in any platform. So you just Google it, Joyful Living Guidebook. And I also have my mentorship program. I do one-on-one. It's called Joyful Living or Dream Life. And I also developing right now online program that called Joyful Living. And I finished my second book that called Dream Life in the Flow. And what else? And you also can invest. I do like a conciergerie, like a concierge for the people who wants to invest in Portugal, Serbia, and Montenegro. So I have the all like network, and I can help you to set up the company. I can help you to do absolutely anything what you want to create in these countries, and connect with right people, with the lawyers, with accounting. I can be your trustee here in Europe in case you decided to invest with me. And what else I do? Yeah, I would like to really be more in conferences this year. That's my kind of like a goal of the year, like a host more summits and conferences, and be like a speaker there as well. So work in progress. It's February.
I don't know where you get time to sleep or breathe, but are you on like the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the LinkedIn's and all this type of stuff if people want to get in touch?
Uh, no, I just like people get in touch with me with my on my website. I'm doing my best to kind of like the opposite, to narrow my network, like a be more like a private, I would say.
Right.
Because people can find me on Instagram. I'm a Joyful Living Guide on Instagram. This is about my book and about my affirmations that I'm just sharing with people the positivity, I would say, of life, because we have a choice, and I believe like when you decide and make that choice, like to be positive or joyful or like a crybaby, it's up to us, or like up to you, because you can cry about, I could actually cry about everything what happened to me and being victim, and I transform it, and I used to say to myself, I'm a winner, I'm a winner, I'm a winner. Every morning I wake up and I say to myself, I'm a winner. And I'm feeling like life is happening for us, not to us. So just remember, like I remembering every day how much I have done already, and I'm still very young, and how much I can do. And it's so many opportunities, it's limitless of opportunities in this lifetime, and we get to just choose what is right for us.
Well, it's awesome to say is on behalf of myself, Wellbeing Career Work Podcast. Thanks so much to Aisha Makara for time today. Once the podcast is approved and released, we'll put all the links in. You can contact Aisha and anybody listening to this, no matter if you like art or not, or SpaceX or Elon Musk or anybody else. Aisha is a true inspiration, and well done to you. So thanks so much for joining me today.
Joyful living, namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.